also offers a possibility to work with logical formulas. Logical formulas are used when you want to build a logical reasoning within Excel. You may want to use if you want to return a value based on a certain condition. You can use AND if you want to return true if multiple statements are true. You may want to use NOT if you want to return true when a certain statement is false, return false when a certain statement is true. So the NOT formula actually gives the opposite of your logical test. You can also use IFERROR if you want to return a certain value in case of an error, which can be useful if you want to replace formula errors by fixed values. Let's have a look at this example. Here we use the if formula to look for the value John. In case the value of the cell corresponds to John, we put a match, and in case there is no match, we put the value no match. And as you can see here, in the third row there is a match. We get the result match. In the other cells, the result is no match because the name does not correspond to John. Here's an example of the AND formula. Here we have two statements. One statement is that the age should be 29. The second statement is that the occupation should be software engineer. And as you can see in the third row, both statements are true, so we get the end result true. For the other rows, the statement is false, so we get the result false. Here's an example of the NOT formula. The NOT formula inverts the result of your statement. So for example, if we have a true statement, then it will give false. If we have a false statement, it will give true. Because only in the third row we have a name that corresponds to John, we have a true statement, and thus the end result is false. Formula errors can occur whenever you have a formula that is not correct. For example, you can have a name error when Excel does not recognize a text in your formula. You can have a value error when there is a wrong type of argument within your formula. When you divide by an empty cell or divide by 0, you get the divide by 0 error. You can also have a reference error when there is a cell that does not exist and your formula refers to that cell. This could happen when you have a column that has been removed and therefore the cell does not exist anymore. Finally, you can also get an error when the column width is not wide enough to display all your characters. Let's go back to the Excel sheet. Suppose that we want to add a column sales amount exceeds threshold next to the payment amount column to check if the sales amount exceeds the threshold of 250 euros. We can add a column here. In the sales order tab, we call it sales amount exceeds threshold, and then we type our formula, which is equal to if sales amount is greater than 250. If this test is true, we say yes. If this statement is false, we say no. So in that case, the amount does not exceed the threshold. We then fill the formula till the end. Next to this column, we want to add a audit flag because we want to know which of these sales amounts were not paid by bank transfer. So I type audit flag and within my formula I type equal to and because I need to check two statements. The first is that sales amount should exceed the threshold. So I type J2 equal to yes. And secondly, I type not, because I do not want the payment method to be a bank transfer payment method. So I type not payment method equal to bank transfer. which will give me all the payment methods that are not made by bank transfer, in this case cash payments. So now I have an AND statement with two conditions. Firstly, the sales amount should exceed the threshold, and secondly, the payment should not be made by bank transfer. If I now fill this formula till the end, and as you can see, there are two orders that have a cash payment amount greater than 250 euros. In case there would be some data missing or some data would be in an incorrect format, then my formula will not work and it will actually give an error message. If I do not want this, I can use IFERROR. For example, if I would change the unit price to a non-numerical value, then I get the value error because the formula is not recognizing the value in cell F2, which is because it is a non-numerical value. If I want to replace this error by an error message missing data, I can use IFERROR and add the value IFERROR missing data. As you see now, the audit flag has missing data and does not contain the value error message. This is very useful if you have multiple calculations on your sheet and you want to find a proper way to deal with error messages.